near the end, but what we're going to do is keep taking names to the end of this line. So everybody that's in the line, so really technically, I'm at the end in about 5 minutes. Everybody that's in the line is going to testify, okay? So we're going to extend to accommodate the whole line. So with that, Susan.
Perfect. Perfect. Yes. Good morning, committee members and Chairman Cook. I am a constituent of Representative Donna Howard's district, and I'm here to testify on behalf of NCJW in opposition to House Bill 616. My name is Susan Pinchowski. On behalf of over 3,000 members and supporters of the National Council of Jewish Women in Texas, I am expressing our opposition to House Bill 16. NCJW is a faith-based grassroots organization of volunteers and supporters who turn progressive ideals into action. NCJW endorses and resolves to work for the protection of every female's right to reproductive choices, including safe and legal abortion care, medically accurate information, access to contraception, and the elimination of obstacles that limit reproductive freedom. NCJW opposes House Bill 16 for the following reasons. Reproductive rights are integrally bound to religious freedoms. Legislating one religious viewpoint on these very personal issues would restrict religious liberty for all. While there are varying views within and among different religious groups, no one religious viewpoint should be imposed on everyone. Freedom of choice means that every woman and man is free to make personal decisions about their reproductive lives based on their own faith traditions and religious beliefs and consciences. We oppose HB 16 because all pregnancies are different. This bill greatly interferes with women's health care decisions before she and her doctor may have important health care information about her own health and the health of her pregnancy. 20-week abortion bans are not only bad policy because they would prevent a woman from making her own personal private decision about her health and medical care, but because they clearly violate women's constitutional rights by banning abortion before viability. I want to thank you for allowing me the time to testify. NCJW continues to work for reproductive choice.
Thank you for your testimony. Amy Larsen, here representing herself against the bill.
Yes, good morning. I'm Amy Larsen, and I'm here representing myself against the bill. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. I drove in from Cyprus this afternoon, so I'm glad that I had a chance to speak. I would also like to bring up the constitutionality of this bill. Under our constitutional schema, fetuses are not recognized as legal persons, and certainly not at 20 weeks. Whether or not you agree with the ethics of abortion or whatever, have one yourself, abortion is a legal, safe medical procedure, and restricting access to abortion and imposing one's own religious beliefs on others is certainly unethical. Moreover, most abortions occur well before the 20-week period. Those that occur after are, as you have learned from the other citizens who have testified, often cases of abnormalities, as well as serious danger to the health of the mother, or disenfranchised women who we've repeatedly mentioned over the course of the testimony about HB 60 as well as HB 16. So women who are poor women living in rural areas, and or perhaps young women who don't realize that they're pregnant until much later, and then do not have the ability to go to a clinic until much later in their pregnancy. is there an issue? Okay. So ultimately, I feel like these two bills are squeezing these, right, but, okay. So this bill is squeezing us at two ends, right, because not only is it more difficult for women to access one of the 5 potentially remaining abortion clinics, but now they have to do it within the first 20 weeks. Ultimately, I trust women to make the best decision for them. Thank you.
My name is Benjamin Swinson Weiner. I am registered against this bill, and I am testifying for myself. If some of my arguments seem like it applies to the other bill, it's because it's getting kind of late and I'm kind of tired, and I really wanted to talk about it as well. But I will try to stick to this bill as well. I'm opposed to this 16. Okay. I'm opposed to this legislation because it could increase abortions. You're rushing a very tough decision. It promotes women from aborting sooner to make sure that they don't lose the opportunity later. Having more time to deliberate the issue is important to make parents feel comfortable with having a baby. Many first reactions to unplanned pregnancy is like, oh, I'm pregnant, I can't handle this. And then perhaps once they have the baby inside them, some parents might feel like they're more comfortable with it and feel more attached to it. So if that's the case, then we shouldn't be limiting this at 20 weeks. We should be allowing these longer terms to allow the parents to actually become more attached to the baby and allow them to follow through with not having an abortion. So if you truly don't, if you want less abortions in this case, then we shouldn't have this 20-week ban. Also, I also oppose this legislation because, like any red-blooded American that's individualistic, I believe that small government is the best government. In fact, this room's kind of big for me. I would like to say that I am devoted to the idea. I'm as devoted to these ideas as the authors of these bills are devoted to women's health. In the following discussions of this bill, I've seen more red tape than the world's largest ribbon-cutting ceremony. Unnecessary follow-up visits for prescription drugs, standards of purpose are fulfilled by existing regulations, and surgical regulations for mostly non-surgical procedures. It becomes clear to me that we should let those who are most familiar with the issues deal with those issues. It's time we let the private sector handle this hot tamale. If there's something abortion debate can teach us, it's that these clinics are part of the private sector. I hear about how they're in the abortion business to make millions in profit. Sounds like they're pretty good at running a business. We should leave it up to them to actually run their business.
Carol Metcalf, here representing yourself.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me to testify. My name is Carol Metcalf. I live in District 52, and I'm testifying against HB 16. This is the third time that I've told this story in the past 2 months. I never thought I would stand up in front of a group of strangers and tell them about my decision to terminate for medical reasons. I certainly never thought I would do it in front of a legislative committee. But then again, I never thought that I would be fit. Yes.
I remember your testimony. I'm glad you did it. It was very profound. And I think even after that testimony, I was the bill author about, insertion of language with respect to student anomaly.
Yes, sir.
And that was a direct result of your testimony. And I say that for the benefit of this whole group, because I think part of what's missed is we're hearing what the testimony is. We're very affected by that. It doesn't always mean that we're in total agreement on things, but I can tell you your testimony, the last time you were here, had a profound impact on a number of them.
And I appreciate that. Thank you. I never thought that I would be faced with a poor prognosis when I decided to start having children. That it's the kind of thing that only happens to other people until it happens to you. It hasn't gotten easier to tell this story, but I'll continue to do so. No one ever thinks they're going to be faced with the decision of terminating a much-wanted pregnancy. My spouse and I were faced with that decision. In 2008, I found out that I was pregnant with my first child. 4 months later, we went in for our ultrasound at 20 weeks, and we discovered we were having a girl. Unfortunately, we also found out our baby was sick. We found out 2 days later that she had a terminal condition and that her condition was very grave, and we left the specialist's office with our choices. We could wait till she passed, induce my labor, or have a D&E. We contemplated our decisions, thinking about what we wanted to do. Even if she did miraculously survive until term, what would her quality of life be like in the few minutes or hours that she was alive? I asked the doctor if she would be able to breathe if she made it long enough, and he said that she might try. I didn't ask any other questions about that because even a few seconds of her struggling to breathe in my arms was too difficult to imagine. I couldn't watch her gasp for air, knowing that there was nothing that I could do to help her. Being visibly pregnant while your child is dying is difficult because every time I left the house, someone would comment on my pregnancy. They would ask me normal questions, and I answered them as nicely as I could, and then I would turn around and burst into tears. So eventually I just stopped leaving my house. I couldn't sleep because I was petrified that my baby was going to die while I was asleep. I knew that I was going to wake up one day and discover she had died, and knowing that I couldn't be with her when she passed was more than I could bear. So we decided to have my labor induced. We went to the specialist's office at 5. We took a look at her, we said goodbye, and her heart was stopped. My labor was induced that night, and she was delivered 4 years ago. None of my daughter's life and death went as planned or expected. I expected to be able to say goodbye to her in the way that I had chosen, but that wasn't possible. I chose to have a baby and bring her into this world, and I should be allowed to make the very personal, very private, and very painful decision as to how she leaves it, guided by the best interests of my child and my family. If a 20-week ban had been in place 4 years ago, then I wouldn't have been able to make that choice. Waiting for your child to pass is certainly a very viable option for many who have been in my position. But so is the path that I and many other women who weren't able to be here in person chose and would choose again. I would hate to see other families denied the right to choose what is best for them. These decisions are hard enough without placing extra limits on them. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.